the United States has opened a door. A $500 billion door. Behind it, a new intelligence awakens. Machines that learn, think, and decide. It's not science fiction. It is the largest technological investment in history, capable of transforming the economy, science, and the human mind. This is the story of the Artificial Intelligence Stargate, the project that is rewriting global power and shaping the future of us all. Welcome to the beginning of the era where thinking will no longer be solely human. The United States has opened a door, not to space, but to a new dimension of intelligence, a door valued at more than $500 billion, the equivalent of the combined GDP of countries like Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. Behind it, something bigger than the internet, more powerful than nuclear energy, and more transformative than the Industrial Revolution is being built. Artificial intelligence on a national scale. In the last 3 years, the US government and major tech companies have unleashed an unprecedented investment. In 2024 alone, over $140 billion were allocated to AI infrastructure. To put it in perspective, that's almost double NASA's annual budget. And the reason is clear. Whoever dominates artificial intelligence will dominate the global economy, defense, and culture of the 21st century. The centerpiece of this colossal bet is called the AI Initiative, a network of alliances between companies like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Google, and the Pentagon. Their goal: to create the most powerful digital superbrains on the planet, capable of processing information at speeds that defy the imagination. NVIDIA's new H200 chips, for example, perform 32 trillion operations per second, a performance level that would have been considered science fiction a decade ago. But this is not just a war of silicon. It's a race for knowledge. While China invests heavily in its own AI ecosystem, the United States seeks to maintain its lead. In Silicon Valley, startups are born every week that seek to rewrite the rules of entire sectors, from medicine to energy, from education to national defense, and the results are already being felt. In Boston hospitals, algorithms trained on millions of medical images are diagnosing lung cancer with 94% accuracy, surpassing the average performance of human radiologists. On Wall Street, AI-based prediction systems move trillions of dollars daily, anticipating market micro-fluctuations at a speed no human brain could match. This revolution is neither silent nor invisible. It is heard in the constant hum of data centers that consume more energy than entire cities. It is seen on satellite maps, where new mega installations emerge every month, true cathedrals of digital knowledge. The epicenter is in almost secret locations, city-sized data centers where thousands of processors work tirelessly. Microsoft, for example, is building a complex of more than 6 million square meters in Iowa, powered by wind energy and cooled with recycled water. That project alone will cost more than $10 billion and will be capable of training models with 100 trillion parameters. To understand this, the human brain has about 86 billion neurons. These systems surpass that scale in complexity and connection capacity. They are the new brains of digital civilization. In parallel, NVIDIA and AMD are fighting a silent war for control of the hardware core. Each new chip costs over $40,000 and is manufactured in Taiwan with atomic precision. Inside, they hold 80 billion transistors, each one 1,000 times smaller than a blood cell. But the magnitude is not just in the numbers, it's in the impact. These chips power language models, autonomous defense systems, and scientific research networks that accelerate discoveries at an unprecedented rate. In 2025, Stanford University announced that thanks to AI, it was able to reduce new drug development time by 70%, going from years to just months. The Pentagon, meanwhile, is pushing the JAIC, Joint Artificial Intelligence Center program, aimed at integrating artificial intelligence into logistics, strategic analysis, and military operations. The systems can analyze millions of tactical scenarios in seconds. In the words of its directors, it's no longer about having more soldiers, but more algorithms. And all this requires energy. A lot of it. A single state-of-the-art AI center consumes as much electricity as 100,000 American homes. That's why the White House is promoting agreements with nuclear and solar energy companies to sustain demand without collapsing the national grid. Thus, AI becomes the country's new circulatory system. Every node, every processor, every line of code is part of a gigantic infrastructure of collective intelligence. But behind this colossal expansion, a new frontier emerges, that of data. Because whoever controls the data will control the learning of these machines. The United States understands that without it, even the most powerful supercomputers are like empty brains. That's why the country is building the largest network for collecting, filtering, and training data in the world. Today, every second, American digital platforms generate more than 1.7 megabytes of information per person on the planet. In a single day, that's equivalent to more than 2.5 billion gigabytes. These are impossible numbers to imagine, but they feed the learning of models that can read, write, translate, diagnose, predict, and create. Google and Meta dominate the civil flow of information, while the NSA and DARPA manage strategic data. Everything is interconnected. When a photo is uploaded, a text is published, or a voice is recorded, a fragment of the future of artificial intelligence is written in binary code. The Data Forge project, driven by the Department of Energy, seeks to standardize and purify trillions of lines of data to train scientific and medical use models. Thanks to this initiative, in 2025, the National Institute of Health managed to identify genetic patterns linked to Alzheimer's 10 years before its clinical manifestation, something that had never been possible. But the power of data is not only measured in discoveries. It also redefines the economy. Companies that control the most valuable information, that which reflects human behavior, are surpassing entire industries. In 2024, OpenAI, backed by Microsoft, reached a valuation of $150 billion, surpassing historic oil companies like ExxonMobil. Intelligence, literally, has replaced oil as the engine of global growth. Even so, this dominance raises ethical and geopolitical challenges. Europe demands transparency. China is developing its own closed ecosystem. And the United States, with its unprecedented technological power, faces a dilemma. Maintain the openness that drove its leadership or close access to protect its strategic advantage. Tech giants are preparing for that transition. They are building language models trained with sovereign data, information directly controlled by the American state and corporations. The goal? To ensure that the knowledge defining the 21st century does not depend on anyone else. Thus, the domination of data becomes the master key to digital civilization. And like any key, it can open or lock. The fusion, where thought becomes digital action. Because the next step is not about collecting information, but about fusing it with the human mind. And that's where the fourth and final phase of this cosmic race for intelligence begins. What seemed like a science fiction fantasy a decade ago is now a real race, funded by the largest technology corporations and backed by the United States government. The epicenter of this revolution is in the laboratories of Neuralink, OpenAI, and DeepMind, where researchers are working on systems that combine digital processing with biological perception. In 2025, Neuralink managed to transmit human neural signals to a computer with a latency of just 15 milliseconds. That means a thought can become digital action faster than a blink. The boundary between brain and algorithm is blurring. The new interface prototype, developed in collaboration with DARPA, allows military pilots to control drones using cerebral electrical impulses. In recent tests, one operator was able to direct 3 aircraft simultaneously, without moving a single muscle. And it's not just about defense. In the medical field, smart prosthetics connected to artificial neural networks allow amputees to recover the sense of touch. At universities like MIT and Berkeley, researchers are already talking about co-intelligence, a model of collaboration between human and machine that multiplies scientific and creative productivity. The economic effects of this fusion are colossal. According to World Bank estimates, the full integration of advanced AI systems could increase global GDP by more than $7 trillion before 2030. In other words, a single decade could generate as much wealth as the entire Industrial Revolution in 2 centuries. But beyond the money, there is the philosophical change. For the first time in history, humanity is building an intelligence that not only imitates it, but amplifies it. The United States leads this transformation with a clarity of purpose: to maintain global cognitive supremacy. The new AI centers are not just data factories. They are knowledge portals, genuine stargates, to an era where thought can be transmitted, replicated, and evolve at a speed never before seen. Thus, the circle is completed: investment, infrastructure, data, and fusion. 4 stages that have turned artificial intelligence into the most ambitious project in modern history. We are witnessing the birth of a new era, one where artificial intelligence redefines what it means to be human. Do you think this fusion will lead us to a bright future, or to a point of no return? Leave your opinion in the comments. Will AI be our greatest ally, or the greatest challenge in history? Your point of view can open another chapter in this global conversation.